When you make the decision to become a winner, you're making the decision to refuse defeat. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Winners don't quit because they understand that every challenge, every setback, every moment of doubt is shaping something powerful inside them. They know that success doesn't come from talent alone. It doesn't come from luck. It comes from relentless persistence, unshakable belief, and the refusal to walk away when things get tough. There will be days when everything feels heavy, when the path seems longer than you imagined, when the results don't show up as quickly as you hoped. That's the exact moment most people quit. Not because they're incapable, but because they surrender to frustration before they ever reach the breakthrough. Winners think differently. When the world pushes them down, they push back harder. When obstacles show up, they see opportunities. When fear whispers that they can't, they respond with action that proves they can. You weren't meant to live a life controlled by hesitation or shaped by failure. You were meant to rise, to overcome, to keep moving even when your legs shake. Winners don't quit because they know that everything they want is on the other side of persistence. Every dream requires endurance. Every goal demands sacrifice. Every success story is built on 1,000 moments when quitting would have been easier, but choosing strength is what made the difference. You have to be willing to stay in the fight longer than your excuses. You have to be willing to fail, learn, adjust, and attack again. You have to be willing to bet on yourself when no one else sees your potential. People might doubt you. Life might test you. Time might challenge your patience. But if you refuse to quit, you cannot lose. Progress may be slow, but slow progress is still progress. Effort may feel invisible, but invisible work creates visible results. Winners don't quit because they understand that the journey shapes the champion. The struggle builds the strength. The setbacks build the skill. The waiting builds the patience. Everything you're enduring right now is preparing you for the victory you're working toward. You're being strengthened. You're being trained. You're being molded into someone who can handle the life you're chasing. Don't underestimate the power of persistence. One more try, one more day, one more step could be the moment everything shifts. You don't know how close you are to your breakthrough. You don't know how close you are to your transformation. You don't know how close you are to becoming the person you always knew you could be. Quitting guarantees you'll never find out, but continuing, no matter how small the steps, opens the door to every possibility. You have greatness inside you. You have resilience stronger than your doubts. You have a future worth fighting for. Winners aren't born. They're built in moments of difficulty, discomfort, and determination. They rise not because they never fall, but because they refuse to stay down. And so can you. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Keep showing up. Keep moving. Because winners don't quit, and neither will you. Winners refuse to quit because persistence is stronger than talent or luck. Talent may give you a head start, luck may open a door or two, but persistence is what keeps you moving when everything else slows down or falls apart. Persistence is the force that carries you forward when excitement fades, when the path gets difficult, and when the results don't show up as quickly as you hoped. It's the steady, unwavering commitment to your goal, no matter how many obstacles rise up to challenge you. Talent can make something easier, but persistence makes it possible. Luck can give you a moment, but persistence builds a lifetime. When you understand the power of persistence, you stop waiting for the perfect conditions. You stop relying on inspiration. You stop depending on fast progress to stay motivated. Instead, you create your own momentum through action, repetition, and discipline. Winners know that the journey to success is rarely linear. It's full of setbacks, failures, frustrations, and moments where you question your ability to continue. But persistence turns those moments from reasons to quit into reasons to push harder. It transforms adversity into opportunity. It turns doubt into determination. It turns discouragement into fuel. Persistence is not glamorous. It doesn't always feel exciting. It often involves doing the same things day after day, even when they feel tedious. It means showing up when no one is watching, working when you're tired, and sacrificing comfort for something greater. Many people are talented. Many people get lucky breaks. But very few are willing to endure discomfort long enough to achieve mastery. Very few are willing to push through the days when progress feels invisible. Very few are willing to keep going after failure hits them harder than they expected. That's why winners stand out, not because they were born with something special, but because they refuse to quit no matter what. Persistence teaches you resilience. It teaches you how to adapt, how to learn, how to adjust your approach without abandoning your mission. When something doesn't work, you try again differently. When you fall short, you analyze what happened and grow from it. When people doubt you, you keep building in silence. While others get discouraged by slow results, you keep laying bricks. Persistence strengthens your mindset in ways that talent never could. Talent can make challenges feel easier for a moment, but persistence gives you the ability to overcome challenges again and again. Winners understand that the obstacles in their path are not signs to stop. They're signs to stretch. Every time you push beyond your limits, you expand what you're capable of. Every time you keep going when you feel like quitting, you strengthen your belief in yourself. That belief becomes your greatest advantage. When you truly believe you can succeed, you stop being intimidated by difficulty. You stop being threatened by failure. You stop comparing your journey to others. You start focusing entirely on growth, on progress, and on becoming the kind of person who simply does not give up. Luck can come and go. It's unpredictable, inconsistent, and out of your control. You can't build a future on something that unreliable, but persistence gives you control. It gives you a way to shape your outcomes through your own actions. The longer you stay committed, the more opportunities you create, the more you keep improving, the more you separate yourself from those who quit early. Persistence eventually generates its own form of luck, the kind of luck that comes from preparation, meeting opportunity. People often underestimate what they can achieve with long-term persistence because they're too focused on immediate gratification. They want instant success, overnight growth, and quick rewards. But winners know that real success is built slowly, patiently, and intentionally. They don't get distracted by how long the process takes. They stay focused on who they're becoming through the process. Persistence ensures that even when progress is slow, it's still progress. Even when the steps are small, they're still steps forward. And over time, those steps multiply into massive transformation. There will always be moments where giving up feels easier, moments where the goal seems too far, the work feels too heavy, or the progress feels too slow, but winners refuse to be controlled by feelings. They let commitment lead, not emotions. They understand that quitting guarantees failure, while persistence guarantees a chance. And as long as there is a chance, there is hope. As long as there is hope, there is possibility. And as long as there is possibility, quitting is not an option. Persistence also builds identity. Every time you choose to keep going, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who follows through, someone who honors their goals, someone who doesn't run from adversity, someone who finishes what they start. This identity becomes a source of strength that carries you through future challenges. It becomes part of who you are. In the end, winners don't reach success because their path was easy. They reach it because they refused to stop. They outlasted excuses. They outworked doubt. They outperformed fear. They kept moving forward long after others chose to walk away. Talent may help you start strong, but persistence ensures you finish strong. And finishing strong is what separates dreamers from achievers. That's why winners don't quit. Not because they never feel tired, not because they never feel discouraged, not because everything comes naturally to them. They don't quit because they know persistence is the most powerful force they possess, the one thing that guarantees they will rise, grow, and win no matter how long it takes. Setbacks are often seen as interruptions on the path to success, but in reality, they are the very experiences that forge the qualities people admire most: strength, skill, and character. When everything is going smoothly, there is little reason to question methods, refine abilities, or deepen understanding. But when difficulties arise, they force a person to confront their weaknesses, rethink their strategies, and rebuild themselves with greater resilience. A setback is not a sign of failure, but a form of pressure that shapes raw potential into something refined and capable. Strength is rarely built in comfortable situations. Just as physical muscles grow only when pushed to their limits, inner strength develops when a person faces adversity they did not expect or desire. When plans collapse or outcomes disappoint, the initial emotional reaction may be frustration or discouragement, but the deeper effect is growth. Overcoming a setback teaches a person that they are capable of surviving what once seemed unbearable. Difficult moments create a psychological toughness that cannot be learned from success alone. Once someone has endured hardship, future obstacles feel less intimidating because they have already proven to themselves that they can endure pain, uncertainty, or failure and still move forward. Skill also evolves through setbacks because mistakes are powerful teachers. Failure reveals blind spots that success hides. When someone attempts something and it doesn't work, they are pushed to analyze what went wrong and why. This reflection leads to refinement of technique, approach, judgment, timing, or knowledge. The person becomes more alert, more precise, and more informed. Each setback becomes a lesson that sharpens ability and deepens mastery. People who excel in any field, whether academics, sports, art, or leadership, did not reach excellence by avoiding mistakes. They grew because they learned from them. The accumulation of these lessons forms a foundation of skill that is far more solid than if everything had gone right from the beginning. Character, perhaps, the most important quality shaped by setbacks, emerges when a person decides how to respond to adversity. Difficulties reveal what someone truly values, how patient they are, how responsible they become, and how much integrity they hold under pressure. A setback forces an individual to choose, give up, blame others, or rise with humility and determination. Those who choose growth develop character traits such as perseverance, empathy, discipline, and emotional maturity. They learn to stay grounded during good times and composed during difficult ones. They become more understanding toward others because they know the feeling of struggle. Adversity becomes a shaping tool, carving out deeper emotional and moral qualities that success alone could never build. Another powerful aspect of setbacks is that they teach adaptability. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned, and people who can adjust quickly gain a significant advantage. When something goes wrong, it forces a person to think creatively, experiment with new strategies, and find solutions they would not have considered otherwise. This flexibility becomes a lifelong strength. Setbacks teach that there is more than one path forward, and that detours often lead to unexpected opportunities. Sometimes a setback even redirects a person onto a better path than the one they originally intended. In addition, setbacks build patience and long-term vision. When someone experiences delays or failures, they learn that meaningful progress is rarely immediate. This understanding prevents impulsive decisions and helps them cultivate endurance. They begin to appreciate gradual improve rather than quick results. This mindset creates a more stable and sustainable form of success because it is rooted in discipline rather than urgency. Setbacks also strengthen self-awareness. They make a person look inward at their habits, thinking patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. Self-awareness is essential for personal growth because it helps people understand not only what they can do, but also what they need to work on. Without setbacks, many would continue repeating the same mistakes without ever realizing it. Adversity interrupts autopilot behavior and invites honest reflection. Most importantly, setbacks teach humility. When someone encounters difficulty, they realize that no one is invincible or perfect. This humility keeps them open to learning and prevents arrogance. It also helps them appreciate success more deeply when it finally comes. Victories feel more meaningful after a person has fought for them, stumbled, corrected course, and grown stronger through the process. Ultimately, setbacks are not barriers, they are builders. They shape a person from the inside out, strengthening the mind, refining abilities, and developing a character capable of handling success responsibly. A person who has never faced adversity may achieve something, but a person who has endured setbacks and risen above them becomes unshakable. Adversity becomes a mentor, not an enemy. The lessons gained through struggle create a depth that cannot be attained through comfort or ease. Over time, setbacks transform from painful experiences into powerful stepping stones, proving that every difficulty faced and overcome contributes to the making of a wiser, stronger, and more capable individual. Most people underestimate how close they are to success at the very moment they feel like giving up. Breakthroughs rarely announce themselves in advance. They often come disguised as exhaustion, frustration, or repeated failure. When someone is pushing their limits, facing dead ends, or seeing no visible progress despite tremendous effort, it is natural to assume that continuing is pointless. Yet this exact stage, the point where persistence feels most difficult, is often where the greatest transformations occur. Many people quit not because they lack ability, but because they misinterpret the struggle as a sign that success is impossible, when in reality it is a signal that they are on the edge of growth. Progress is often invisible in the beginning. A person might be working for months or years without any significant result to show, but beneath the surface, skills are sharpening, habits are forming, mindset is strengthening, and foundation is being built. These invisible changes accumulate slowly, and then, suddenly, they reach a tipping point. The problem is that most people give up before that tipping point arrives. They look at the lack of visible progress and assume nothing meaningful is happening, not realizing that major milestones often follow long periods of silent preparation. The moment before a breakthrough frequently feels like the hardest phase. This is because growth stretches a person beyond their comfort zone. It demands more focus, more discipline, and more resilience. The challenges intensify because the individual is close to leveling up, and breakthroughs require that final push. It is similar to lifting a heavy weight. The last few reps are the most painful, but those are the ones that create the real strength. In life, the final stretch before success feels overwhelming, and many mistake that feeling as a reason to quit instead of recognizing it as a sign of progress. Another reason people quit too soon is the illusion of comparison. They see others succeeding faster and assume that their own path is flawed. This comparison, CR, eats impatience and self-doubt. They start questioning whether they are talented enough, whether the effort is worth it, or whether they are wasting time. These doubts drain motivation and eventually push them to give up even when they were inches away from a breakthrough. What they fail to realize is that every journey has its own timeline, and breakthroughs do not happen at the same pace for everyone. The fear of failure also plays a huge role. When a person gets close to a breakthrough, the stakes feel higher. They may start worrying about making mistakes or being judged. This fear creates resistance, which can make quitting seem safer than continuing. But breakthroughs require courage, especially the courage to move forward despite uncertainty. The people who achieve great things are not those who never feel fear. They are the ones who push through it long enough to reach the other side. A breakthrough can come in many forms. A new opportunity, a shift in perspective, a skill finally mastered, a door opening unexpectedly, or a sudden recognition for years of effort. But these moments rarely arrive during comfort. They appear when persistence is tested. Many of the world's most successful individuals experience their biggest breakthroughs right after moments of deep frustration, rejection, or doubt. If they had quit at those painful points, their success would have never existed. What makes quitting before a breakthrough so tragic is that the person will never know how close they were. A small extra effort, a little more patience, or a slight adjustment could have led to the outcome they dreamed of. Instead, they walk away thinking they failed, when in truth they simply stopped too early. Success is not always about brilliance. Often it is a matter of endurance. The ability to stay committed when it feels hardest is what separates those who break through from those who fall short. The reality is that the edge of success feels very similar to the edge of failure. They look almost identical because both are marked by struggle, doubt, and pressure. But one leads to growth and accomplishment while the other ends the journey prematurely. The challenge is learning to recognize that the presence of difficulty does not mean defeat. It may actually mean progress. Most people quit because they want results fast and underestimate how much persistence is required. They forget that every meaningful achievement, education, career, fitness, relationships, personal growth, demands long-term commitment. Those who hold on just a little longer, who push through the discomfort, often discover that the breakthrough was waiting just beyond the moment they wanted to quit. In the end, breakthroughs belong to those who keep going. They show up on the days when motivation is low, when progress is invisible, and when doubts are loud. They don't stop because it's hard. They continue because they trust that something is being built within them, even if they cannot see it yet. And when the breakthrough finally comes, it not only validates the effort, but also proves a powerful truth. Sometimes the greatest success lies just beyond the point where most people decide to walk away. Invisible work is the foundation of every visible achievement. People often admire the finished product, success, confidence, mastery, strength, discipline, but they rarely see the countless hours of effort that made it possible. The world usually applauds the outcome, not the process. Yet it is the process, the unglamorous work done quietly and consistently behind the scenes, that determines who rises and who stays stuck. What you do when no one is watching carries far more weight than what you do in public, because invisible work is where real transformation happens. Invisible work is the early mornings when you get up to pursue your goals while most people are still asleep. It's the late nights spent studying, practicing, training, or improving yourself without applause or encouragement. It's the repetition that feels boring, the discipline that feels heavy, the sacrifices that go unnoticed by everyone except you. This quiet effort builds skills, mindset, and resilience long before the world ever recognizes your progress. People often assume that success comes suddenly, but in reality, it is built slowly, silently, and consistently through invisible habits. The reason invisible work is so powerful is because it creates internal growth. Visible achievements, awards, opportunities, breakthroughs are simply the external expressions of what you've been building on the inside. When you show up day after day, even when you feel tired or discouraged, you strengthen your discipline. When you practice a skill repeatedly without seeing immediate improvement, you're training your brain, your muscle memory, and your perseverance. When you choose long-term goals over short-term comfort, you're shaping your character and building self-trust. All of this internal development eventually becomes visible to everyone else, but it begins long before the results surface. Most people give up because they don't see quick results. They assume that if their work isn't producing visible progress right away, it must not be working at all. But invisible work is like planting seeds. Nothing seems to happen at first, but beneath the soil, the roots are growing. anchoring themselves, preparing for the moment when the plant will break through and reach the light. Just because something isn't visible yet doesn't mean it isn't happening. Growth is often quiet, slow, and subtle. The results show up later, sometimes all at once, and people around you say things like, "You're so lucky," not realizing how much invisible work built that moment. Invisible work also builds momentum. Every consistent action, no matter how small, compounds over time. When you practice a skill for 10 minutes every day, when you make small steps toward a goal, when you repeat a behavior that aligns with your future, it accumulates. It creates a force that grows stronger with each action. This momentum eventually becomes powerful enough to create noticeable shifts in your life. What appears effortless to others is actually the result of thousands of invisible efforts layered on top of each other. There is also a psychological advantage to invisible work. When you consistently do the work on your own without needing external validation, you build confidence rooted in authenticity. You know your progress is real because you lived the effort. You don't need approval, praise, or recognition to stay motivated because your drive comes from a deeper place. This self-generated confidence is far more durable than confidence that depends on people's opinions. Invisible work teaches patience. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, the willingness to commit to something long before it pays off is a superpower. It separates the people who achieve meaningful success from those who chase quick, superficial wins. Patience builds wisdom, emotional strength, and an understanding that great things take time. This mindset not only leads to external success, but also brings inner stability and peace. Even the best performers in any field, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, professionals, reach their greatness through hours of unseen practice. Their visible results are merely the tip of the iceberg. The true power lies beneath the surface, in the unseen effort, the hidden discipline, and the quiet commitment to improvement. That is why invisible work creates visible results. The world eventually reflects the effort you consistently pour into yourself. Over time, invisible work transforms into something others can't ignore. People will notice the changes in your skill, your confidence, your strength, your opportunities, and your success. They may call it talent or luck, but you will know the truth. None of it happened by accident. It happened because you invested in yourself when it wasn't easy, when no one cheered for you, and when no one believed in you yet. You don't need an audience for your effort to matter. You don't need instant results to know you are on the right path. What you do in silence eventually becomes what you are celebrated for. Just keep showing up, keep working, keep building, and understand that every invisible step you take is shaping the visible future you're working toward. Keep going, even when no one sees it, because the results will one day speak louder than any excuse ever could.